From this news center of the Sultanate of Oman television here, we present to you tonight's news bulletin. But first, let's begin with the headlines. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq greets His Majesty the King of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan on the anniversary of his accession to the throne. Sultanate wins the membership of the Economic and Social Council affiliated to the United Nations. An agreement is signed on designating the premises of the GCC Statistics Center in the Sultanate. Alarming levels of coronavirus infections are reported in the Sultanate as the number of patients in intensive care units exceeds 300. Salalah port comes sixth worldwide in operational efficiency at receiving and handling container ships. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq sends a cabal of greetings to His Majesty King Abdullah II Ibn al-Hussein, King of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, on the anniversary of his accession to the throne. His Majesty the Sultan also sends a cabal of condolences to President Dr. Arif Alwi of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan on the victims of the two train collision in the Sindh province. His Highness Sayyid Fahd bin Mahmoud Al Saeed, Deputy Prime Minister for the Council of Ministers, received today His Excellency Ambassador Abdullah bin Saud Al Anazi, Ambassador of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia accredited to the Sultanate. His Highness welcomed His Excellency, wishing him success in his work assignments. During the meeting, the talks dealt with a review of the strong brotherly relations between the two countries and the means of developing them in a manner that serves the interest of the two brotherly peoples and enhances the march of the Gulf Cooperation Council. The ambassador expressed his country's government satisfactions with the growing relations between the two countries, praising the Sultanate's continuous efforts to consolidate mutual understanding and cooperation. He pointed out that the leadership in the kingdom has full appreciation and respect for the Sultanate and its balanced policies at the regional and international levels. The meeting was attended by His Excellency Sheikh Al-Fadl bin Mohammed bin Ahmed Al-Harthi, Secretary General of the Council of Ministers. His Highness Sayyid the Yazin bin Haytham bin Tariq Al Saeed, Minister of Culture, Sports, Youth, issued a decision to declare Oman Committee for Games and Electronic Sports and form its board of directors with the aim of developing the capabilities of young people in all fields to qualify them to compete in regional and international competitions and achieve advanced positions. The committee specialized in organizing competitions, championships and games between the game players, supervision, implementing them, setting needed foundations and rules and conditions for them, prepare national teams which represented the Sultanate at international and regional championships, and supervise their training according to approved plans and programs. The electronic sports is considered as one of the competition formation organized via video games with the participation of a number of players in this field. The Sultanate is elected to the Economic and Social Council, one of the 6 main organs of the United Nations for the 2022-2024 term. The Sultanate won the membership of the Council with the support of the majority of member states during the elections that were held last night at the United Nations headquarters in New York. The United Nations said the Economic and Social Council is at the heart of the United Nations systems to advance 3 dimensions of sustainable development: economic, social and environmental. It is the central platform for fostering debate and innovative thinking, forging senses on ways forward and coordinating efforts to achieve internationally agreed goals. It is also responsible for the follow-up to major United Nations conferences and summits. Bilateral relations between the Sultanate and Yemen and the current situation in the region topped discussions of His Excellency Sheikh Abdul Malik bin Abdullah Al Khalili, Chairman of State Council, with His Excellency Dr. Ahmed Awad bin Mubarak, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates Affairs of Yemen. His Excellency, the Yemeni guest, held the firm stance of the Sultanate towards supporting security, stability and unity of Yemen. He as well praised the Sultanate's role to advance peace process and end disputes in the region. His Excellency Sayyid Hamoud bin Faisal Al Busaidi, Minister of Interior, received in his office today His Excellency Dr. Naif Falah Al Hajraf, GCC Secretary General. During the meeting, they reviewed several matters relevant to the GCC march in supporting the security work as well as efforts of the GCC Secretariat General to foster cooperation and strengthen existing ties of brotherliness. His Excellency Sayyid Badr bin Hamad Al Busaidi, Foreign Minister, today received His Excellency Dr. Naif Falah Al Hajraf, GCC Secretary General, who is currently visiting the Sultanate. The meeting dealt with ways of upgrading the GCC cooperation and boosting joint future projects. During the meeting, an agreement on designating the premises of the GCC Statistics Center was signed by Sayyid Badr on behalf of the government of the Sultanate, while Al Hajraf signed on behalf of the GCC Secretary General. The fact that Muscat has been endorsed as the venue for the GCC Statistics Center reflects the Sultanate's keenness to promote joint GCC action. The center aims to build capabilities of GCC institutions to keep pace with modern statistical requirements. It will also help develop joint working programs, unify GCC national statistical strategies and standardize them in line with the best international practices, and enhancing proper use of statistical data in making decisions and policies. The Ministry of Health announced 10 deaths and 1,553 new cases of COVID-19 in the Sultanate. It also registered 721 recovered cases. The total number of COVID-19 cases in the Sultanate reached 226,648. The total recovered cases reached 206,026. The total deaths reached 2,434. The ministry indicated that the number of inpatients during 24 hours is 129, bringing the total number to 983, of which 303 are in intensive care units. National COVID-19 immunization campaign continues in the governorate of the FAR. The campaign covers those eligible to second dose in addition to government unit staff and general diploma students. Precautionary measures were taken during the campaign process, which witnessed wide participations of the target group. The campaign will also continue to cover other society segments. You're watching the Sultanate of Oman television, and yet to come in our news bulletin. An ancient Omani village in the Wilayah of Nizwa is renowned for many archaeological landmarks. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Salalah Port came in 6th out of 351 ports worldwide in operational efficiency at receiving and handling container ships, according to the Container Port Performance Index of 2021 produced by the Global Transport Institute, which is affiliated with the World Bank in cooperation with Market AHS company that is involved in IT services. Salalah Port has stated that the duration in which the ships stay at the port or the speed by which they are dealt with are determined determined by certain factors, including port, marine services, and the General Administration of Customs at Royal Oman Police and the Ministry of Health. It's worth mentioning that the Sultanate's ports came in first worldwide at container handling speeds, according to the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development Index in 2020. The Board of Directors of Asyad Group has decided to restructure its business units in line with its efforts to focus on key logistic activities such as port services, free zones, shipping, dry dock, e-commerce services, and last-mile delivery. The decision came as part of Asyad's efforts to boost its local and international commercial presence in light of its plans to grow and enhance its performance. The restructure of the sector will result in the dissolution of the Oman Roads and Transport Management Company, or TMMC. The Ministry of Transport, Communications and Information Technology will supervise all transport and road responsibilities previously assigned to ORTMS or C, according to the Ministry's jurisdiction under the new state administrative apparatus. Asyad will focus on embodying the direction of Oman Investment Authority, OIA, in cooperation with the private sector by empowering it and partnering and integrating with it, which constitutes fundamental pillars of its new operating model. As such, several projects for partnership with the private sector have been identified. Under the theme, Ocean, Life and Means of Living, the Sultanate joins world countries to celebrate World Oceans Day, which falls on the 8th of June every year. More details coming up in this report.
The celebration of the World Oceans Day aims to inform and educate societies about the impact of human actions on the oceans and develop and support global efforts to manage them sustainably and protect them from pollution risks. On this occasion, the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Water Resources participated in the virtual celebration of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, where a decade of challenges were declared to achieve the 14th of the Sustainable Development Goals, to conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas and marine resources by 2030. The Sultanate is working continuously to develop fish and marine resources while preserving and protecting fisheries from the dangers of pollution and depletion, and working to maintain the biodiversity in its seas. The oceans are a major source of food and medicine and an important part of human life and other organisms, and they are key to the economy, with about 40 million people around the world expected to work in ocean-based industries by the year 2030.
The Public Prosecution Department today conducted a written test for 1,460 applicants from among holders of Bachelor in Sharia and Law and above who competed for the job of Public Prosecution Assistant. The candidates were put in two groups as precautionary measures to curb the spread of coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic in line with the medical protocol endorsed in such cases. The sorting of candidates will be processed electronically as part of the program set by the Sultan Qaboos University SQU for test of government institutions. Nama Group is continuing its plan of providing 241 technical job opportunities for Omani job seekers. Hassan Alawati, the Chief Executive Officer of Nama Group, has stated that the company will provide technical jobs including electricity engineering and electricity technical jobs as part of its Omanization plan. Further efforts are continuing to Omanize 800 jobs in the subcontractor companies working with electricity companies. The hiring process is expected to be completed by next July. Omanization in this field is expected to reach 80% by 2023. The 23rd meeting of their Highnesses and Excellencies, the ministers responsible for environmental affairs in the countries of the Cooperation Council for the Arab States of the Gulf, discussed the development of the joint environmental action process and ways to advance it in light of the global challenges facing the environment and climate. The meeting, which was held via video conference, also discussed the efforts of the GCC countries to confront the COVID-19 pandemic, cooperation with the United Nations Environment Programme, the Convention of the conservation of wildlife and its natural habitats in the GCC states, the United Nations Framework Conventions on Climate Change, and the Convention on the Protection of the Ozone Layer. Their Highnesses and Excellencies discussed the G20 initiative submitted by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the environmental activities at the Cooperation Council Pavilion at Expo 2020 Dubai. And now let's go all the way to Karsha village in the Wilaya of Nizwa. Wilaya of Nizwa is one of the ancient Omani villages that have remarkable archaeological attractions. More details coming up in this report.
Karsha, a distinctive ancient village, which is located at about 12 kilometers away from the center of the Wilaya of Nizwa. Its distinguished location gave it a strategic significance as a gateway for those heading to the south of Oman.
Karsha has abstracted its name from the Arabic meaning, which means wide. Karsha has gone far back in the history, more than 2,000 years. There are some sign or some indication that it means that the history has taken in depth in Karsha.
This village contains a variety of antique archaeological attractions and historical landmarks. This gigantic rock is one of the remarkable natural monuments in Karsha village, holding ancient tales of the place and its residents.
Two wells were deeply digged in this mountain to ensure that they have enough resources of water for the village population. The mountain is surrounded by these houses, old houses, which are built around 300 to 350 years back. There are about 60 to 70 houses, and still they are standing by, narrating the history of this village.
Due to the fertility of its soil, different types of palm trees and crops are cultivated in the village of Karsha. These palm groves and crops are irrigated by a fellage.
The main resources of irrigation in Karsha are two: the falag, and also there are some wells in the production of wheat, dates, sesame, some other products. Also, it has produced, back in the history, it has produced cotton.
Restoring the ancient lane of Karsha village and investing in its location will contribute to boosting the touristic and economic value of this village. صالح بن خلفان الرحبي, ولاية of Nizwa, الداخلية, Governorate.
Thank you, Saleh. This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq greets His Majesty the King of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan on the anniversary of his accession to the throne. The Sultanate wins the membership of the Economic and Social Council affiliated to the United Nations. An agreement is signed on designating the premises of the GCC Statistics Center in the Sultanate. Alarming levels of coronavirus infections are reported in the Sultanate as the number of patients in ICU exceeds 300. And Salalah Port comes sixth worldwide in operational efficiency at receiving and handling container ships. And with that, we do conclude this news bulletin brought to you live from this news center of the Sultanate of Oman Television. Be alert. Follow all the precautionary measures. Indeed, Minister of Health has reported that more cases are in intensive care units. It's going to be difficulty for everyone. So follow the precautionary measures. And if you are targeted for the vaccine, please go and take the vaccine and continue to follow the precautionary measures. Stay safe and healthy. Good morning.